Welcome to the VA Today pod and videocast with your host, Gail Alexander, a podcast about VAs, for VAs and businesses looking for the right VA to help to start grow their business. Find the right VA today and visit VA Today on YouTube and ava-ni.com to find out more about VAs and what they can do for you, and get in touch with the virtual assistants you need today.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the VA Today with me, Gail Alexander. And today I'm joined with Rachel Priestley from Streamline Services. And Rachel is an accredited VA with VIP VA, Society of VAs, and has won the Yorkshire VA of the Year and been shortlisted for Best Newcomer. So I kind of feel as if I'm going to get a lesson in how to be a VA today. So we're a good company, and thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm going to start taking notes because you're obviously very good, very accomplished, and know the heck what you're doing.
Most days, I think.
So Rachel works in her own business, and predominantly within the health services. You've worked for the NHS and locally in your own area, and as a VA and PA right up to executive level. So what I've asked everyone really is, how on earth did you ever become a virtual assistant? Because everyone's journey is different, but there's quite a lot of overlap and it's quite similar. So just wanted to find out, how did you become a VA?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was sat one day in the living room, as you are, messing about on my phone, and out up pops this free Facebook ad for a free webinar with a VA coach. I was like, oh, and it said a little bit about what a VA is, and I was like, oh, well, that's what I kind of do. So, right, I'm going to have a look at that. And she became my VA coach. So it was a webinar telling me about the VA industry, and this is what you could do. And for me, it was just an opportunity that came at a time when I was feeling a little bit at work. It just came at the right time for me, and it was just something that I immediately after watching it said, yes, that's what I want to do. And it was that simple. It just happened overnight.
It was like a light bulb moment, and I'm like, yes, I found what I want to do.
That's what I want to do. Yeah, and I'm going to do it, and that was it.
So it's like you finally found out what you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah, it was that. In another life, I am a vet, but yes, that's what I want to do. I'm going to say that one.
in another life, I am an astronaut, an air hostess, and a teacher. So it's, we still haven't decided what I'm going to be. Space cadet maybe, but anyway. Another story.
Absolutely. So yeah, it literally happened. It was a light bulb. That's what I want to do.
Brilliant. And obviously the skills that you had from previous jobs lended themselves really well. And I think a lot of people don't realise that a virtual assistant is highly skilled, and they've obviously worked for a certain length of time, and they transfer those skills over. And yours are quite specific, working in the health service.
Yeah, so mine, I think for me it was immediately, I thought, well, I can do this. I know I've got the skill set, and I know I can transfer it into doing what I need to do. The thing for me was, how do you set this up? What do you do? What do I need to do? What do I do next? So I think that for me is less of the VA side and more of the business side.
Yeah.
And that was oh my God, how do you even set up a business? What do you do first? What do you need? That was actual practical what next. That's why. And that was I don't know.
So yeah, I think everyone's come across that, and not just a virtual assistant, anyone setting up their own business. It's like, what the heck do I need? Do I need insurance?
Yeah.
Do I need to be registered here? And so how did you go about finding that? Where did you go, or who did you ask?
It was the VA coach. If it wasn't for my VA coach, Tanya Kurt was absolutely amazing. And she was based down in Essex way, so not local for me, but every tool, every technique, every piece of knowledge I got from the 6-week training course which was, for me, it wasn't 6 weeks one after the other. For me, it needed to fit in and around. I was employed full time, so I did it on an evening, on a weekend. I just worked it around it. So I was kind of working on my business in the background for quite a few months before anything happened, and that was okay for me. I felt okay about it. I still had the income coming in, and I was learning, I was understanding it. And the thing is, you know, the information I know now about the HMRC is just ridiculous, and you just think,
you're the person I need to talk to.
Why do I know this? It's, you know, you just, the things you read, the things you have to look at, and it's all knowledge. And the thing is, it's not knowledge that's just for you. You will find that you're passing that knowledge on to all your clients. You know, whether it's a little bit about GDPR, whether it's a little bit about data processing, but you find you actually end up and you're thinking, I actually sound like I know what I'm talking about.
You do. But as you say, even that knowledge for setting up a business, you know, it's not just for you as a VA or virtual assistant or personal assistant, whatever your title may be. Yeah. That knowledge is also useful, and you are practiced in it. So that is practical knowledge that any business that you're supporting will avail of. So yes, it's all really good and valuable to you and your business. So yes, it's definitely worth thinking about. And so when I've been asking other people, it's, have you had specific VA training? So obviously you had specific VA, but mostly business training that applies to the VA world.
Yeah, and I think it's that as well. And I think there's two different kinds of training that I can go for. So this evening I'm going to a PA Hub development event. So there's social events and there's development. Now I like to go to something, especially if it's paid for, and I want to come away with something, whether that's knowledge or a specific skill. So sometimes it's just a development speaker, but other times I've been, and it can be something specific on Outlook, and that was like, wow, I didn't, this, I've learned something tonight. So there's different things that you can take away from it, but I like to do, but so it can be specific to the VA, but it can be about your business as well. But you find that actually, even when it's about your business, you put it into your VA knowledge because you use it.
You use it for your client.
Yeah. So I do separate paid. I go through networking and memberships where they do offer development, so that I do that as well.
So I think that's another thing that businesses need to know, that VAs are constantly going out there and searching and researching new ways to do things, or new tools, or new practices, and they're constantly learning because they're passionate about building their own business, and so that's passionate that they pass on to supporting that business who may be their client.
Absolutely.
So when you first started as a VA and you wanted to get clients, how would you have described what a virtual assistant is? What would you say a virtual assistant is?
My 60 seconds, it's like my 60 seconds changes every time I go to a meeting, because I listen to what other people say and I try and pick up. So it might be that I do wing it, but not in a way of I just wait. And it's because I want to hear what other people are saying, and sometimes I can catch something that somebody else has said and build it into my 60 seconds. But it is really, really hard. And it's hard to, if you try and tell somebody the meaning of the word virtual assistant, it's very, very difficult. So I talk about freelance executive assistant or freelance business support officer, or, I talk about different things depending on the setting. But it is really difficult to explain what you do. And I have probably about 10 or 15 different little bits of paper with different 60 seconds written down on them. And I still don't use them over again. I still write a completely different one whenever I'm going anywhere. It's just whatever's happening that week or how I'm feeling, or I try and tell a story of feeding back so I can tell somebody something practical about how I have helped somebody's business.
Okay, so that's a good way of doing it. It's giving like concrete evidence of this is what I've done specifically that a business has required and needed, and then move on.
Yeah, so I'll do the usual, I offer outsourced flexible working support to your professionals and your business owners, so I'll do the general kind of introduction, but then I might tell them a story. I might tell them something. I've once stood there and said, do you know what, this is what happened for me today on LinkedIn. Somebody recommended me. I didn't go through the LinkedIn process of making a comment. I went on their website, I found their email address, I sent them a personal email and said, listen, you've got loads of recommendations, and actually all the recommendations are fantastic, and I would actually support all those recommendations of other VAs because it's a collaboration. but if you want me to put you in touch with somebody specific, I'll probably be able to get somebody. And he responded to me, and the response I got was, that is the most meaningful response I've ever got. And you just totally understood what I needed. And he went on to tell me everything about what he needed. And I couldn't help him, but that's directly, but that I didn't mind, because I gave him some advice, and I actually put him in touch with Charlotte Willoughby, because she was the right person to go to for that need. So it works, and I feed that back at networking meetings, so people have something practical to hear and process and think, oh yeah, that's what I want people to hear.
So I think you're right in the respect, it does depend on the day, the hour, the time, the person, the situation, because a virtual assistant can mean different things to different people, and it's the same the way you may describe yourself as a freelancer, a consultant, executive assistant, PA. They all mean really the same thing. It's somebody that works potentially from home, is flexible, and offers that support that doesn't require being hired as a full-time employee. So because everyone's doing such different tasks, it can be described as different things. So So I don't talk about specialising in a specific area. So I might say I'm not a specialist, but I have skills and knowledge that could help you. So, in terms of a VA generally, I could help you with small aspects of specialist roles. I do talk about that. And I talk about, like you've just mentioned, that it might be for somebody who either hasn't got the budget to employ, they work from home themselves, so they haven't got the space to employ, or they're just not at the stage yet where they want to, but they know they want to grow the business. And they just, and that leads for me onto the fact that I do a lot of business support. So I've got 2 clients moving into offices at the moment. I'm project managing the whole office move, dealing with all the office desks and electrics and networks, and I'm doing everything. And then I'm helping them with the recruitment, because I've got knowledge in all of the different aspects, but I'm not a specialist in it. So I think until you work with a VA, you can't really understand how they can really help your business, or it is tricky to find that, to get that relationship going and that understanding. Yeah, so that kind of leads me to 2 separate questions. But so the first one, you were talking about you're a generalist, and so quite often I've heard people say they should niche down into something, and other people say no, you shouldn't.
Yeah,
you're saying you're a generalist, so you're able to offer a plethora of different supports. What do you think, or again, it depends on the person?
Yeah, well, I haven't got a niche service that I provide. I don't particularly like listing services, and I will say to them that I can't tell you. I'd be here all day giving you a list of the things I could do if I could think of them all. I need to know where your pinch points are to tell you what I could do to support you. But I think it's great if somebody, I look for associates who might specialise in doing social media, or, so I go out there looking for it. However, that's something I actually panicked about to start with. I thought, I haven't got a niche. I need a niche. And it was really something on my mind. And in the end, I thought, no, let the niche almost find me.
Okay.
I think there's 2 different things. I think you can have a niche in a service you provide, or you could have a niche industry, or you could have both.
Yeah.
For me, I have fallen into an industry through, I haven't gone out looking for somebody. I've fallen into the financial and wealth management industry. I didn't go looking for it. My background is nothing to do with finance and wealth management. It just happened, and I love it. I really enjoy it. I've learned so much over the past year. It's unbelievable. But again, I would still not go and tell anybody I specialise in a specific service or area of work. For me, it wasn't helpful to do.
Yeah. Okay, so that's quite interesting, and that's, I guess, specific to you and your, I guess, just your desires and what way you want to work. Because, as I say, some people say specialise in maybe a piece of software, or specialise in social media management, or in an industry. And as you say, like, it's not even the industry you kind of started out in. So
yeah.
I think for a piece of advice maybe for new VAs is don't panic. You may find yourself niching into something that's great, but you may find, you have a skill set that's so broad that it maybe lends itself to specific clients. So
yeah.
maybe just don't panic, just give it a wee bit of breathing space to find out what you sit best in.
Absolutely. Yeah. And added to that, I would also say so I've now got this accidental niche industry that I support, but that doesn't limit me, and I wouldn't turn anybody down or turn them away, because if I haven't supported anybody in a trade industry, how do I know that I won't absolutely love it? You have to go out and you have to say the yes. You might not like it. It's okay. It's okay. My first client was horrific. It was real. It wasn't an enjoyable person to work with. But that, I think you have to do that to learn from it, because it's another part of the learning process of being a VA and a business owner, and thinking what's best for you and your business. Yeah. And at the time, and everybody will think this, I need that client, I've got to take them. I don't really want to work for them, but I need the money. Just do it then, because then at least you know that in future you can discount the work that you didn't enjoy. You can discount it.
Yes.
I think I would always encourage people to do it, try it, and see.
It's like the food and teaching your kids, just try it, see if you like it.
Yeah. And then tell me you don't like it.
You're going to eat it.
Yeah. But then if somebody approached me who did the same thing as this first client, I would never say no, because I would then find them somebody that could support them better than I could.
Yeah, and that's what I love about the VA industry. It's so supportive and so collaborative, as you said, and there is so much work out there that we can support each other while still supporting ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the next thing was, leading on from that, because you said you don't really outline the specific skills you do, because there's so many. So you, like, the ones I read were like MS Office, customer service, planning, HR, event planning, project management. There's a whole range. So in that respect, how would you tell businesses who are looking for a VA, how do they go about finding the virtual assistant that's right for them, especially with being in the virtual world, trying to find somebody that you don't meet? What's the best way to find a VA?
So this is something I've started thinking about, and obviously I'm on the Society of Virtual Assistants. I'm a member on there, and you can go on there and look. And then, I would link in with people who I know more people than me. So I would go to Charlotte, I would use the VA forums. I've done that before. I've had somebody come to me, wanted social media, she wanted a specific, so Instagram, and for me, it just didn't fit what I did. I wouldn't be able to fit it in, and quite openly, creativity is not top of my skills list. I'm a very practical worker. It's just how I've always been. I've been in the corporate world. It's not for me. So I went on the VA forum. I've got this, and I did a very, very short, I've had somebody come to me asking for this, and this. If anybody's interested, send me your email address. And then I sent them more details. And a couple of weeks later, email from a VA, one of those VAs, thank you so much. We're working together. She has now become my client. Brilliant. Result. That's what I want for people. So I think, yes, you can go to the specific areas and do searches. So clients could go and search for VAs themselves or look online, research. Yeah. But asking a VA, and I think for me, it's very important. I'm not a yes person. I don't say yes to everybody. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I'm a very open and honest person, and I don't offer that, but I can find you somebody who will offer that. And that's what they will remember. That's what they will remember. They will remember that you helped them. And I get, my name's mentioned quite a lot for somebody she might be able to help. And it doesn't mean it will be me, but she might be able to help, as in get it out there, get the word out there, find the right person. And that for me, having that and getting any feedback from that I love getting feedback from doing that. It's not just about the direct client on client support. It's about helping other people finding somebody.
Okay, that's kind of a VA's role as well. It's helping businesses, and if you can do it indirectly, well, it lends itself well to the whole industry. And when the whole industry is doing well, then you're individually doing well. So it's kind of like a big circle, and it's pay it forward, it'll come back, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And then actually, quite often, it's what I'm coming up against now is questions about. I mentioned earlier GDPR. How do you know about people are compliant? So I'm Now, saying so, I have when I look for associates, I use a little form, and it just asks very simple questions. Have you got this insurance? Have you got that registration? Are you covered by this and that? You know, I ask these questions because I have a set of guidelines that I work to. So they're my own, you know, good practice guidelines. And for me, with my associates, and I would have that expectation of them also. If they haven't got anti-money laundering, you know, not registered, that's not a problem. You just don't task out the work that would require that. It's, you know, it's kind of simple stuff. But I say to people now, prospective clients or business owners, if you were looking, how do you know to ask those questions? Are you asking those questions? Yeah. How do you know that that person is covered by this, that, and the other, and that you're not going to be liable for something? And they kind of go, oh, well, we don't. Why would we ask those questions? We wouldn't know to ask those questions. So for me, having somewhere that the clients could go, or the potential clients could go, to understand what to look for in a VA, and not just skills, everything in terms of what they need to be covered as a self-employed VA or self-employed anybody. These are the boxes they should tick for you to work safely.
So it's nearly like a checklist of how to vet the VA that you may have chosen one for the services they offer.
Yeah.
You may find that they're either location-wise or just experience-wise, but you still need to vet them so that they are suitable to work in the industry that you need. So that's a really good sort of piece of advice for a VA to follow, to make sure that they have those points checked, but also for businesses and how they go about finding.
And the flip side as well for the VA in terms of checking a client. You know, I still see, and when I see posts on Facebook of people, I've got my first client, I'm during startup, and immediately I think, have you got a contract with them? Have you done something to secure that business? Not just that, but to make you safe. What have you got in place? Because I think that's a trap that new VAs would fall into easily. I just need to get some money coming in. And I don't want to make it really difficult to start working with a client. I don't want to ask them to fill this form in and sign this form. I'll just do some work for them, and then we'll sort the rest afterwards. It's a really easy thing to do that you shouldn't do.
I guess that's something that you would learn either going on the forums or taking a VA training list, but it's something to keep you safe. And it's a good all-round basic foundation that you should start of any business.
Yeah.
So I think, that's a really good point. So apart from VA training, did you take any other training to help yourself along the way, or do you look out for specific training for what you want to do, or even if a client comes to you and asks?
Yeah, so I do quite a lot of self-training. So if there's any specific systems that I need to use, I'll do a lot of my own research. I do a lot of self-training. If I need to find a system for a client, I will test it myself at home. My poor husband has a lot of testing done on him with phone calls and systems. but I've even made my son ring a couple of numbers before. But you just have to make sure. And if you're setting up virtual landlines, or if you've got to ring out from numbers, or you need at the moment I'm working on a document portal that fits within this EU. I need it within the EU that's hosted, and so it fits data processing. I do a lot of testing myself, so that's with the systems that I use. If there's any additional training, I've chosen not to do any. So a few months ago, I thought, should I do a very basic bookkeeping? Mm-hmm. Well, I haven't had clients up to press that have asked me to do bookkeeping. I can do bookkeeping, but I am not a qualified bookkeeper, and I declare that immediately. I do a little bit of invoicing, so my anti-money laundering registration is 5 months in. Still not heard yet, but we're still getting there with that application. But I tend to look for, like I said before, the development things that I will take something away. So I'm going next Tuesday to an all-day business boot camp. It's the first one I've ever been on. I'm so excited. Yeah. So talking about strategy and planning and marketing. So I'm really excited about doing that. And then for the last 2 years, I've been to the Northwest VA conference. In Manchester, which is fantastic, and that is that one. The other one on Tuesday is going to be different businesses, different industries sat in one room, this one, the Northwest one, is obviously VA focused, and it focuses on the things that we really need or we really want to look at in terms of our industry and taking us forward. That's great. We'd never miss that one. That's fantastic. So, and then I'm heading down to London in February for what is now the PA show, or the office show. And then I'm hopefully doing something with Charlotte as well. So there's lots out there that I'm kind of, I have to set myself these, I really want to do that. I know I'm going to get something out of that. So I'm currently kind of looking ahead at what things like that I can do on a development. What then falls is my networking. And I need to realize that you can't be everywhere. It's really hard. And, financially you have to commit to certain things, you're going to get something out of.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's like I was at the PAR video conference last week in Belfast.
Yeah.
And so it is quite difficult for me because predominantly all events are going to be in the UK mainland and sort of London, and it's just at the moment it's just not feasible for me. So this is why I like sort of networking in this respect, but face-to-face networking. So if there's any sort of more virtual, and we're in the virtual world, so why not virtual summits, they would be the ones that I would attend myself. But it's a good point to raise, and for businesses to realize that VAs are constantly, they realize that because we live and we work in this virtual world, that we go out and seek these opportunities, one for a business purpose, but two, I think maybe for a bit of sanity as well. But we want to talk to people, real life people.
Yeah.
But it all comes back to the business, and it's still a valuable asset that a VA will be.
Yeah.
So talking about that, do you ever feel isolated? And you were saying that you're not great with your networking at the moment. It's something that you need to build up on. So do you feel isolated in that, or how do you go about? Do you join? You're talking about other groups, but how do you sort of make yourself not talk to the wall or the dog?
Just the dog, yeah. So I'm quite lucky. My husband's flexible with his work, so sometimes he's working from home, which either is good or not so good. So it's a bit of a mix there. So I'm not always, I'm the only person in the house, but quite often I am. So I joined networking groups when I first started. There's a local one that I do some admin support for as well, and that's kind of my main focus because it is local, and I think it's the feel of the group. I just really, really enjoy going to that. It's every other week. There's no requirement to attend. There's no stats. You don't have to take any referrals. There's none of that. The other one I joined is the For Networking, which is the membership. So I joined For Networking when I could because I was full time still. From starting the VA business back in October 2016, I was full-time until May 2017, and then I dropped my hours so that I could network face-to-face and build my client base, and I got my first client within a month from a networking group, from face-to-face networking, and I'm still with him now. So he's my biggest client in terms of hours, the retainer hours, which is absolutely fantastic. Sadly, after that, as I built my client base, it stopped me going to the networking groups because I do one on-site piece of work for somebody just once a week. I do some on-site work and it clashes with a networking group. And actually the client has told me a number of times, go to your networking group. It's fine, just come here when you can. But that has a knock-on effect for the rest of the day in terms of the hours I can get in. So it's really difficult. So the groups that are local to me, with foreign, you can go to so many groups, and I just can't get to them because if they're not first thing in the morning, which then eats into my day because it can be half an hour to an hour travel time, it's in the evening. And well, I'm sure we'll get onto that. My reason for becoming a VA, my daughter's got social anxiety, so I need to be around with some consistency. So I have to pre-plan when I'm not going to be here. I need to tell her. I need to lead her up to it. I need to pre-warn her for everything. So that's quite difficult as well. So it's managing the kids as well, I think. So I've decided I'm finishing with For Networking. So I'm kind of looking. I'm kind of on the lookout for where I want to commit some time. And I'm quite excited about actually finding something new. The thought of networking petrified me, as it would, as it will and does everybody. Now I will go anywhere, I will speak to anybody, I sub at BNIs because I'm very clear I will tick anybody's box and visit with a BNI, but I'm very clear I will not join. It's not something I want to commit to. It's too much of a commitment and pressure, but I will happily sub. I sub for clients. I haven't got a problem. I really love a BNI. A lot of people wouldn't say that. I like the structure of a BNI. I'm used to it from being in the corporate kind of world.
What is that? For people that don't know, what is that exactly?
Okay, so the corporate world or the BNI, which one is? So different networking groups. I say to people, if you ever go networking, you've got a variance of networking. There's social, go out, chat to people, get to know people, and you'll find there's women-only groups if you're not comfortable. And I completely agree with some of the women-only groups because it is difficult walking into a room full of men in suits. It is hard. And I think they go up in levels, and then you've got your top of the shop extreme networking, which is every week.
Extreme dating.
Similar, very similar. Every week, got to be there, can't miss, got to take a referral in. And the thing is, it works. I can completely see how it works. It really does work. And it's just for me, I don't want to put myself under that pressure.
Yeah, it sounds quite stressful, that.
Personal choice. So I would much rather go for the kind of in the middle networking, which is quite laid back. You get a mix of social, you get some development from it. So there's quite a few out there, which is brilliant. The top of the shop, when I'm talking about corporate, so imagine boardroom style for people who've never been, everybody sat around a table, you all got a certain time to speak, you speak in order, they actually say your names when it's your turn to speak, and it's quite daunting. It's scary. It is a really scary thing. But I've been to some fantastic BNI groups that are so friendly and make you feel so welcome, and it's very much depends on the group as well. Depends on the group, where it is, the region.
I think when you're talking about the network as well, as you say, some people it's scary, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. But then when I joined, and the first one I kind of joined was Lean In, when it was Lean In Belfast, but now I actually am a member of the leadership panel. It just shows you how much you can get, and not just from a business perspective, from a personal perspective, friend connections, referrals, and it's the same for businesses on the reverse side. If you're a business and you're looking for somebody in order to maybe find that associate or that partnership or that VA, so I think people need to re-educate themselves what networking actually is.
I think it's important, and I try and, you can tell, if I go to a networking meeting and I have a one-to-one with somebody, I can tell immediately whether or not they understand what networking is about, what networking really means, because either they're trying to sell to me or they tell me they don't need. That they don't understand networking. They don't understand the reason for it and the true meaning of networking. And I can tell that immediately. So I think it's really, really important for new VAs or anybody to understand that networking is not about selling. It's not about getting business. I've quite often said in my 60 seconds, I'm not here to tell you who I want referrals from. I'm not here to tell you who I want business from. I want to get to know you, because the more information I have about industries, about different people, getting to know you, the trust, the relationship building, I can refer on with confidence, and I can take myself to somebody for the advice I need with confidence. That is my main reason for networking, is to listen, to learn, and to take away something. That will always be my reason for networking. It just needs to be.
Yeah, I think it's whether you get value and you learn something as well. And I always look at it as an interesting experience, because the people you meet just adds value to your life in general, never mind in a business term. So I actually quite like it. I still find it quite daunting to do.
Yeah.
Your advice for any VA is, if you can go with somebody else to hold your hand, not literally, but do that as well. You may find it's so beneficial in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So it's something I would definitely advise. So talking about, you've worked for VA for quite a while, what challenges did you ever come up against or have come up against, and how did you deal with them?
I think one of them is it's got to be getting the clients, building the client base, and it's always, the finance is always going to be at the back of somebody's mind, always, always, always. And I think the challenge for me was the sitting back and waiting and making sure people knew what I was about and to get the right business. And it's really hard to wait and to not jump ahead and to say, I have to have that client, and I need to get the money in. I think it's, for me, a new starter needs to understand that it is just just sit back, just take it steady. And that for me was a really big challenge. And I think you just want it to happen. You want things to happen immediately. It's a really big challenge. I think, go on, sorry.
I think it's like a slow build for some people in that respect. It's just take your time and do your research rather than just jumping in, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that I now find a challenge on a weekly basis, I will have a really great week of, I have structure, I have my diary planning, I know which client I'm doing when, and then next week it could be the complete opposite and I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I've got too much to do. I'm working every night, and I think that is every business owner's challenge. I think it just, you have those weeks and you have to understand that it will be okay. And for me, the forum, the VIP VA forum, any other forum, for me has been the support that you get from that group. It's just unbelievable, and it's so needed. It really is so needed. And I've got VAs I'm really lucky that I've got some VAs in a geographical area, and I have one-to-ones with them all the time. We sit and we have a coffee and we chat and talk about, the struggle that we're having that week, or what happened last week, or, and that for me is, I think it is, go out there and find the VAs that you can support you when you do feel like it's a bit overwhelming, because it can be, and that's okay. Don't think it's not okay to be it's okay to be overwhelmed.
I think everyone in their business feels that. It's like, I need somebody to moan to. It's like, I have so much work to do.
Yeah.
But it's literally finding yourself a colleague in that respect.
Yeah. So that's a big one for me. That's a big one. And then the other side, again, going back to finance, is just think about, what you're spending your money on in terms of your startup. Only realize, I got ridiculous things. And it was just, really didn't need to spend that on that. And, so just, just get the essentials. I jumped ahead, and I needed business cards. I was going out networking, but since then I've changed my email address. I'm still now, I started out with a Gmail account before I got my domain. Mm-hmm. I'm still now finding that I'd registered something with the Gmail account, and then I can't reset the password, and then they won't let me and I'm like, this is my fault. So it's just, but there are things that you think, what, I will learn from this, and that's it. Deal with it, learn from it.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I am like a kid at Christmas when it comes to tools. It's like, ooh, what can I buy next?
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
What can I buy? Yeah.
Especially with the VA, or sort of the video industry that I'm moving into. Like yesterday I was looking at cameras and I'm like, ooh, I want this. And then when they showed me the price, I'm like, oh no, calm down. Because you don't need a lot of tools and a lot of pieces of software. You don't need to pay for. There's so many free options out there. And that kind of leads to a really nice question is, do you have any favorite tools or any pieces of software that you think any business, never mind a VA, but anyone that really should have that helps them in business?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't do. I've got one of these fancy printer scanner things, and I could, because of what I do, I have to do a lot of scanning as well. So I could not do without that. I have a shredder as well, and it's a cross shredder. So I need that for the work that I do as well. But in terms of the software, if I didn't have LastPass, I would not survive a day. No, I would not survive without LastPass. I would just get the free version. Get the other version if you want, but God, get the free version. I need it for my things. I need it for my clients' things. And most importantly now, I need it to share with associates. I need secure sharing with associates. So LastPass, absolutely, all the way. Yeah. Toggle or any tracking, I tried a few different ones, but Toggle is the one that I really, really do like. And I do my reports for my clients as well with their hours on it. And it's just really easy. Yeah. It's just really easy. I know people really love Canva. I use Canva for a lot of things. I use the free version. I don't need the other version. I'm not creative enough to use the other version. And the thing is, I know other VAs that can. So, get them to do it. They would love to do it. They're creative. Yeah, somebody else can do it. Absolutely. I also use a lot of file sharing. So get to know Dropbox, Google Drive, and just get to know them and it's not about using them, it's about having the knowledge of something you could offer a client. It's always about having the knowledge of something you could offer to somebody else. And then for my role, I upgraded, and I do pay for Adobe DC because I need it for converting and creating forms. I do a lot with PDFs. Okay. So that was one for me. I recently upgraded to Office 365. It was a compliance requirement from one of my clients that I work with. So I need it through St James's Place. Your IT has got to meet certain specification. So I upgraded to that, and actually I love 365. It's brilliant, and it helps me with all my other clients as well. So I was just thinking about and flitting a little bit onto something else recently. This is one thing I would say for new VAs: all these things that you use, think about the ones that you pay for, and yes, you're getting them because it betters you, but think about how that impacts your outgoings. So I do a lot of printing, and I didn't recharge for printing. I had an hourly rate, obviously, with a certain client. I did an audit of how much printing I was doing over the last 3 months because I've had a review with this client, really, really positive. I need to add an administration fee because I need costs to be covered because I'm going to lose out. So that's and the thing is, it's the unknown, and I didn't know that until I was a year in, because then I could work out my year's worth of costs and my outgoings and what was going on there. It is really hard to think about from the start, but it's kind of another notch on the know your value kind of thing. It's not just about you and your hourly rate. Think about what it's costing you to run a business.
Yeah.
It really, it's just so important to think about that.
So you're talking about specifically you were doing printing work for a client, so it's the time to do that, and the stationery and everything, those add-ons that you need to remember and think about. And it's something I would think about, that for a client sometimes they require me to meet them. So I have to go and meet them because they have a marketing strategist, and I would work with them. So it's the time spent getting there, or even the mileage, or anything like that. So it's those little added on extras.
It's the added on extras, and I picked a lot of that up through my VA coach. So my mileage and expenses, I do one client's postage and then recharge at the end of the month. So I knew about all of that, but I didn't think about I don't know why I just didn't think about the actual running the office and doing things for them is actually costing me. So the printing was a biggie, and working out how often I change my cartridges and the cost of that and the cost of every piece of paper, and I think that is something for me that brought up this is the part of the business that I've got a gap in, is working out my baseline and my costings. And I think that is a big gap for training that wasn't picked up in my VA training, that could be picked up in some VA training, is about understanding, just a basic understanding of finances when running a business, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. Something like that we can put to all those different trainers to see if they've covered that gap. So
fingers crossed.
We'll go and ask.
Yes.
So lastly, because we've talked quite a bit, what do you see your business being, or like where your goals are at for you personally and for your business, say the next year, 5 years, 10 years? Have you even thought, 10 years down the line, do you have massive goals, and what do they look like?
So I haven't got, people close their ears about this, I haven't got a business strategy. Because if I was to have a business strategy, it needs to be meaningful and used. And if I just sit and type a strategy on however many pages, and it just goes in my drawer and I never look at it, what was the point? What was the point of that? And the thing is, for me, I'm very practical. Until I understand and see a point of having one written down, I won't write one down.
Okay.
It's a kind of as simple as that. And for me, I have how I want to be. I think what I always think about is my family, making sure everything is, the boxes are all ticked and everybody's happy and it's ticking over. That is my absolute priority. That's the biggest priority for me. I think going forward with business, I hit the point where I knew I needed to use associates. I needed some help. I needed some great associates, and I've now ticked that box. I've got the associates that I need. And what I'm doing now, and I suppose it is part of my planning, I'm building up kind of an associate, I don't want to say bank or anything. It's kind of a list of people, trusted associates with different skills that I know I can go to at any time. So I'm kind of building that information and building that portfolio so I know it's available to me. Yeah. Because I don't have to want to say no to anybody that comes to me. I don't want to have to say no to any prospect that comes to me. So that's kind of what I'm doing, is building around my associates. And then I think going forward, I don't want to employ. I've already made that decision. I don't want to employ. Having been a manager of 15 admin staff in a previous role, we are the hardest people in the world to manage. We're just, it's just, because we're quite structured in how we work and what we need, and we're quite difficult to, and I don't want to employ. I think working with associates for me would be a big thing, and building on that, and building on the client base, and then building possibly on what I've just mentioned, which is the bank of knowledge of associates. And like I said, for me, it meets a specific criteria in terms of good practice, good working guidelines. And then possibly people could come to me and ask me, have you got these people? Do you know they tick these boxes? Yes, I do. So that's something that I'm thinking could work in the future, if people could come and I've done those checks on people.
Yeah. Is
it something that might be a need out there? So I'm thinking about different things that might help the industry going forward. But for me, it's about my family. It's about my work-life balance, having more time with the family. I want a VA at some point, because I do. I think, do you know what? If I didn't do this, I could be doing that. Or, there's things that you just think, use the knowledge, use the skill. Just, that's how we tell our clients they can grow their business, grow your own business. Think about how that's going to help you.
VA. Yes, I want the same. I need somebody to do my diary management for me now.
Yeah. I'll do anybody's mileage. Hate doing my own mileage. But it's just, I think for me, I have a vision of what could be, but I'm not stuck in that. I'm just quite happy to make sure everything's ticking, and my clients are a priority. And just keeping my skills up and doing, continued professional development for me. And that really is for the next few years what I want to do. I just want everything to tick over.
So it's basically, you just want to work at being the best VA that you can for you, your clients, and for your family. So there's no big mad 10-year present that might change.
And I think, absolutely. And I think I want that flexibility. I want that flexibility to be able to change that. I want that flexibility to say, do you know what? I've got a fantastic idea. I'm going to do this. I want to have that flexibility to do that without having to think, but this is what I said my goal was. And I like having that flexibility. So, and that for me works well at the moment. Might not in a month. Who knows?
This is true. You don't know what will happen, because like how I became a VA, so I definitely didn't foresee that. And so it's a bit of fluidity, and you may have a project like me doing this Mad VA Today project is just something that came about, and I'm like, no, I really want to run with this.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing next year may totally change. I may turn into this mad YouTuber, but we'll see. Maybe not.
You never know what's around the corner. I think that's the...
Exactly. So it's maybe not, for some people, pinning yourself down to those goals is totally right, and you can focus on them. It gives you clarity and it gives you purpose. And then for other people, it's like, no, I just want to be better at what I'm doing, continue with that, and we'll just roll with it until any big light bulb moment comes, and then that keeps them happy too. So it depends on the person. So I think that's totally fine. So I think we've chatted about lots for VAs and for businesses is like, and I will now let you go and get back to your proper work. And I really appreciate you taking your time to talk to us and myself and give me some advice and pointers. I'll try and put them down in the show notes as well. But so I hope they see great things for you and your building up of your associates database if it comes about, and see all the more awards that you're bound to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that is something that was a really big thing for me, because I would never, and I don't think a lot of people would. It's really hard, isn't it, to kind of big yourself up and try, because I self-nominated, and I think for me, self-nominating for both the awards was the only thing I could do, because when you look at the application, some of my clients wouldn't know. They haven't had conversations with me about my business growth, what I do want to do. They haven't had those conversations. So for me, it was really important to make sure that was really clear. And so, yeah, I self-nominated for both awards. One was, was to be my VA through that one, and the other one was a local, and I was absolutely thrilled to win that award. I think for me, it would be, the next thing for me would be something around the business award. VA industry specific, absolutely fantastic. But I think for me, a business award as well is a little bit different in that it just showcases your capabilities in a different side of it. So I think that would be fantastic. But I would absolutely say to anybody, just do it. Just do it. It absolutely, you have to. It's something that you need to showcase what you do, what you're about, what the industry is about. I think it's really important to do that, and just generally getting the education out there about outsourcing generally, but outsourcing to VAs and outsourcing generally is a fantastic thing. And I'm still finding people who don't know what a VA is, didn't know the possibilities, didn't know it existed, and it's really important to get that message out there to people, I think, really. Yeah.
I think when you say you self-nominated, it's a marketing tool as well. You're showing yourself, you're showing the industry, and for any business, don't be afraid to self-nominate. You're there for a reason, and if you get chosen, well, yes, you definitely are there for a reason. So it's about raising your visibility, you're doing your marketing and your profile. So it's definitely a great piece of advice to finish on there. So I'm away to nominate myself for, I don't know, let's go and find some mad awards and let's go and see if I win anything.
Absolutely.
No, I'm going to do proper work. But thank you very much, Rachel. And we'll talk to you soon. But again, just thank you very much for taking time to talk to us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
You're very welcome.